Awesome. So welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us for our 2025 fellow applicant session. This will be the applicant session for our 2025-2027 cohort cycle for cohort 10. So congratulations and thank you for being here today. Just a quick overview of today's agenda. We just had our welcome, did our very wonderful icebreaker. We're going to get into some program overviews, talk about like fellow responsibilities, just some history of the program, general information. There will be information shared, like I mentioned earlier. So you'll get a copy of these slides, you will get a copy of the recording, and just our recruitment packet that includes like our timeline and other stuff that we're basically going through today. And then we will save time at the end for our Q&A section. So you all can ask whatever questions come up. You can ask throughout the presentation, but that is like the dedicated time to, ask more detailed questions to cover things that maybe we didn't talk about explicitly. All right. So this is just an overview of like those that help out with the RATE program. So if you were to become a fellow, these faces that you will definitely become familiar with. We have Ema, who is our partnerships manager, Mo, who is the program and grants manager for the entire environmental leadership program, myself, who is the communications and outreach manager for the environmental leadership program. We have wonderful Nicole Lopez, who is a program director, and Takia, who is our outreach and selection manager. So those are the faces. Remember them. They're wonderful. Everyone is great. I love them all very much. All right. So I mentioned the Environmental Leadership Program, also known as ELP. And ELP is the parent or umbrella program for the Ray Fellowship Program and a few other programs. And the mission of the Environmental Leadership Program is to support visionary, action-oriented, and diverse leadership for a just and sustainable future. And to do that, there are 3 programs underneath that. There are a national and regional fellowship program, typically geared towards like more established professionals in their career. So like, for example, after you have completed your cycle as a Ray Fellowship, a Ray Fellow, you will have the opportunity, if you'd like later on down the line, as you get into your career, to, become a part of that program. There is also the Doris Duke Conservation Scholars Program Alumni Network, which is comprised of people who participated in the DDCS programs during their undergraduate career at prospective universities across the country. There is now an alumni network just to maintain that community, maintain that network. They are becoming like self-run, so there are meetups and all kinds of things that happen periodically. And then there is the Dr. Roger Eyeliner Young, or the Ray Fellowship Program. And over the years, we have done a lot more cross-programming. So that shows up in the form of like retreats, meetups. There are like constant mentorship opportunities to overlap and access the large network of over 1,800 senior fellows across ELP, like national regional programs, and the Ray Program Network. So there is a lot of like community interaction and network weaving that is happening on a constant basis. So when you do become a part of the program, you'll have the ability to tap into that network, which I think is really cool. So I will move on to talking about Dr. Young. So who is Dr. Young? Dr. Roger Eyeliner Young is recognized as the first African-American woman to receive a doctorate degree in zoology. She, was a scientist that worked in marine biology and worked in biology in general. She completed her PhD at the University of Pennsylvania in 1940. And from then, she went on to teach and conduct research at several universities across the country, including several HBCUs, which is really cool. In addition to zoology, she studied biology and marine biology, like I said, and published various research and journals throughout her time working in those fields. And what's really cool is that in 2005, she was recognized in a congressional resolution on the significance of African American women in the United States scientific community. So she received that honor since her passing. And by recognizing Dr. Young through the Ray Fellowship Program, our aim is to honor her journey and the impact that she had on the science community. Creating equitable, engaging, and inclusive world is really difficult work. And so it requires all of us to engage authentically, respectfully, and thoughtfully. And we try to uplift that and uplift her honor and her struggle through carrying out the Ray Fellowship Program. And yeah, I'm now going to get into kind of like the timeline and the story and the history of how the Ray Fellowship Program came to be. So, about 11 years or so ago, Green 2.0 published a study or a research entitled The State of Diversity in Environmental Organizations. And this report included gender and demographic data that highlighted the lack of diversity in environmental nonprofits. And so around that time, the founders of this organization were at Ocean Conservancy and recognized this disparity and began to question like what else is missing within the marine conservation world specifically, and use DEI frameworks to assess what other improvements could be made in that field specifically, and just also in general. And through this analysis and considerations, the Ray Fellowship Program was born in hopes of changing the face of marine conservation to reflect the world that we actually live in. So since then, management of the program has been passed over to the Environmental Leadership Program, which I spoke about before. And with that passing of hands, the program has grown to cover more than just marine conservation. We now partner with organizations that work to protect variety of wildlife, trees, even and organizations that focus on like clean energy and energy efficiency. And so, with all of this, the mission of the Ray program has evolved to focus on building an environmental future that fully represents and includes and is led by diverse communities and perspectives and experiences. And so, with all of that information, I'm going to pass it over to Nicole, who is probably going to have everybody take a deep breath because that was a lot to just absorb all of that and then get into where we are now on our journey.
How did you know I was gonna invite people?
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm talking a whole lot and I need to take a deep breath myself.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna invite people, like if you're off camera or on camera, just to like shrug your shoulders a little bit, maybe take a breath in. If you want to add some movement into your arms, do a big stretch. So much information, so much screen time that we spend here in this Zoom world. And again, just want to uplift appreciation for all of you for hanging out with us today. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are, the Ray Fellowship Program. I'm curious if any folks know about Ray or if they have any friends that have done Ray before or any Ray Fellows. If you do, feel free to drop it in the chat. Say like, yes, I do, or no, and it's okay if you don't. All right, so we're all new. This is great. Okay, so some folks do know some folks from Doris Duke, alum, very lovely, or maybe you might know some senior fellows. This is exciting. Okay, I'm seeing some things come in. I love it. Yeah, so it's a network and a connection, kind of like what Nia was just talking about, a whole community of people. The Ray program started in 2016. So it's new-ish, but it's been around for a little bit. And so there's a bit of grounding and footing with the network and the network weaving that has been happening over the past couple years. Cohorts typically have about 5 to 20 fellows, and I want to uplift that like this is a fellowship and it's part of being a part of a community of practice. So this program doesn't exist without all of you. So you are what you make it. And it's a diverse network of individuals that like come from different backgrounds and different experiences. And we partner with different host organizations, but we have a focus where we utilize inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and liberation to help shape some of the programmatic context and development for this fellowship program. So it's not just like a job placement service. It's really like supporting the fellow. So once you're a fellow for life. You're connected to us. You're connected to the other networks that we have. Um, and so our purpose is really to build career pathways to into the conservation and clean energy sectors for historically excluded communities. Nia, I don't know if you want to go to the next slide. Thank you. And we work to equip fellows with tools to support and grow as leaders in their fields. And we really focus on inclusivity and making cultural shifts at the environmental organization. So not only are you as a fellow receiving support, but the organization is also getting skills and development training to support you all in your fellowship journey. And really it's more of like a holistic approach to individuals and working together. So it really becomes a community and collaboration between you, the host organizations, and ELP. Some of our partners, there's this little slide that we have of some of our past and current partners. The really cool thing is that once you become a partner, you're kind of connected to the network and folks are invited, kind of how Nia was talking about those different retreats and meetups. Like once you're a part of that, there's this network weaving that continues to happen. And so it's more circular instead of just one-off events. And so these are a few of our current and past partners just to kind of get an idea of all of the spaces that we're working in across the nation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits of being a fellowship. This is a 2-year placement with a host organization that provides a lot of unique and rich experiences. Not only is it career development, but it's personal development. We like to place folks in spaces that like feel good and are aligned with the way this that you want to grow as an individual. So we try really hard to screen for that in the application process based on the host orgs projects and things like that. So that is something that we pay attention to. Some things that you'll benefit from is that this is a paid fellowship placement. Salaries start at $48,000 a year, and they have a range based on cost of living within the state that you're applying to. So know that can be a range. In some places, like California, might have a higher salary because it costs more. Other places might be a little lower based on the cost of living. So it really kind of varies. And there is support for relocation, and also it comes with $1,000 a year for professional development that is for you to use to like take courses or learn more and grow as a professional. And it also comes with mentorship. So this is a placement that happens in year 2 of your fellowship with an ELP senior fellow or somebody within our network. That is, you fill out a survey. We specifically match you with somebody that can be there to support your career growth or ask questions. There's also mentorship that happens between past and current fellows of the RAY program. So there's a lot of networking and connection. So peer-to-peer, and also broadening the network of the way that we look at mentorship and really focus on just building relationships and connections and coming together through common values and shared stories. And it also comes with professional development. So Ray also offers professional development alongside this $1,000 a year that you get to spend on PD courses. So we have monthly cohort calls where we dive into different topics. And we do a lot of surveying around the community to help develop out that curriculum. But some of those topics include project management, conservation conversations, how to navigate difficult conversations, relationship building to come to an ask. It has a variety of topics that we work with, and those are paced out throughout the 2-year fellowship program. And there's also 2 retreats that come with this. You have your orientation retreat and then your mid-fellowship retreat, which is a little bit more community development with some content and learning mixed in between it as well. So those are some of the benefits that come with being a Ray Fellow. Um, but along with the benefits, there's also some responsibilities. So there's responsibilities as a Ray Fellow, which is one to like actively communicate and build community. We're really looking for individuals that want to be a part of a network and really work on practicing and building community and really engage within this space, because community is how we make change. That's one of our philosophies here, is that the more relationships we build, the better we are at navigating difficult conversations and moving the needle and making change happen. So that is a responsibility that we really do uplift, is building community. We also ask for 4 hours a week from you as a Ray Fellow to dedicate towards programming that is a part of the fellowship program. So might seem like a lot, but there's just different pieces that happen, and that can kind of scale and be a little different depending on the week. So some weeks it might shift a little bit, it could be a little lighter, but just it's averaged about 4 hours a week. And included in that is attending a monthly cohort call, your pod meetings. So our pods are a group of individuals that are set up between your as a way to support each other throughout the fellowship program and deepen relationships. There's meeting regularly with peer-to-peer mentors and external mentors, attending professional development calls. And then you'll also work on developing a work plan in year one. And then in year two, you'll shift into focusing on building a personal leadership plan, which is something that you'll take with you after the fellowship program. And it's called a personal leadership plan because, like, you as an individual, that is you. It's not anybody else that's telling you how to lead. This is something that you get to work on, and it's supported throughout the program. And the last request that we kind of uplifted a little bit, but is to have fun and build community. We want to bring joy and laughter. We were just in a call this week with two of our current cohorts. And we just talked about what kind of joy we want to bring into the space. And so some of it is sharing recipes, making a playlist, creating a book club. And so, like, really how you guys want to engage and have fun is up to you all, and we'll help support that container. But we do ask that you come with that lens as well. And then on the next page, there's a couple other kind of more detailed things of like what that might look like in action. So you'll attend a virtual orientation. You'll attend an in-person welcome retreat that's right at the beginning of your fellowship, and then an in-person mid-fellowship retreat. So those are the three like big buckets of events that are going to happen in between those little calls. So these are more multi-day activities. The retreats are typically in person. We usually partner with a retreat center in Pennsylvania. And so those are hosted there, and your room is paid for. All of that is like settled away, but we'll share more details with that like later on if you're selected for the program, but just want to uplift that is part of the program.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, that was a lot of information. And again, you will all have this recording, so you can always go back and reference. Okay, so applicant eligibility, historically excluded communities, people who have been underrepresented in, the environmental sector, clean energy and conservation. Also, those who are less than 3 years out of college. So this opportunity really prioritizes entry level. I would look at this program as like a launch pad or a professional like incubator for like development, where you can gain knowledge, wisdom, support. So you have not have had a full-time job in conservation or clean energy, like it's just for those who are just getting started. And also have the ability to work in the United States, and also commit to the entire 2-year fellowship. And also those who also understand and demonstrate an understanding and commitment to our values of ideals, inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and liberation ideal. So we definitely want to make sure that we are in alignment in those spaces. Next slide, please. And we're about to get into a lot of dates. I know there's a lot, but I'm just going to highlight as you just self-pace and go through them yourself, the major dates to look out for. Obviously today, happy Friday, February 21st. But on March 30th, our applications will open. And then we also have another info session scheduled for March 11th. And so I encourage you all to attend that one. It might be some updated information, or you might want to have some of your questions or curiosities answered that you didn't, or maybe it came about between now and then. Let me just grab my notes. Yeah, and then our close date. So the open and close date are the two major dates that I would pay attention to. They open on the 3rd of March, close on the 31st. So now that we've kind of like walked through the timeline, you see that we have the phone screenings, interview process, and later on this year, we'll have our in-person retreat. So you can just take a look at that. And again, you'll have this information. Next slide, please. So this is what happens after you have actually hit submit. This is the, behind the scenes and what to kind of expect as you await your application. Let me just grab my notes. So yeah, we're being reviewed. We're looking for fit, qualifications. Also expect future communications. You'll receive an email to a phone screening. And just keep in mind that, as we receive applications, there'll be different statuses based on the candidate stage process. Finalists will be invited to interview with the host organization. So some things I would like to include is just like check your emails regularly. Make sure that once you get that email to schedule your interview that or your screening, that you do that promptly. And yeah, if you have any, questions that need answering, reach out to the staff here at Ray beforehand. Next slide, please.
I also just want to interject really quickly
Sure.
to make sure that when you apply to use an email that you do check on a regular basis, because things can sometimes move a little quickly during the application process. And if we're trying to reach out to you via email, we're like, not to rush, but like we're expecting, responses as we're trying to schedule phone screenings and things like that pretty quickly. So make sure to use an email that you like get notifications for or that you check on a regular basis.
Great point, Nia. Thank you for adding that for sure. Use an email and make sure that you type it in correctly. Double check. Yeah. All the letters and dots are in there. Okay, so let's get to the application and how to apply. Again, applications open.
Hold on. I think Nicole was talking, but we didn't hear her.
Yeah, I was hear something about you'll get a confirmation email when you submit your application. Make sure that that doesn't go to your junk folder. So if it does, like flag it to say it's not junk, but sometimes it does end up in people's junks and you might miss that communication too. But once you've submitted your application, you'll get a confirmation email. And so that'll help you know whether or not you've typed in your correct email or if you're receiving those emails. So if you don't receive a confirmation email, reach out to the Ray staff and we'll make sure that that email gets updated based on your application on our end for our system. So just a little flag that I wanted to mention for that piece as well.
Thank you for those additions. Applications again open on March 3rd. So and here's the website here, which you also will have. Everything is on that website. Some materials that you'll need is proof of your bachelor's degree by the start of the program or your unofficial transcript, your resume, and also essay responses. And so again, when you visit the rayfellowship.org/apply, you'll see the rundown. I'm sure many of you have done many applications in your careers. And so it's very intuitive. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that we do allow or just suggest that you perhaps may go a different route. So if you don't want to write essay responses, you can submit an audio message. You can I've just heard that we've had podcasts and different types of art forms. And so there is some creative expression opportunities in submitting your application here. So again, reach out if you have questions or support. We're here to support you. Yeah, next slide, please. I should probably move along with you with my notes so I'm not like trying to play catch up. So I did have some tips that I wanted to share. You can, again, self-pace, take out the slide here, but I personally would like to just say, be yourself. Your lived experiences and your perspectives are valuable. Be clear and direct when you are writing or delivering or communicating. Speak with confidence and purpose. Align with the mission. Definitely, research Ray further if you have more questions or just need more information, and make sure that you are in alignment with the mission and the values of our organization. Um, Proofread. Your words carry meaning, and so review them with care. I would prepare ahead, create space for your best work. You know your process, and so honor your process and prepare in the ways that you need to. And then lastly, but not the least, ask for feedback. Growth happens within community, and so we're here to support. Your own community members are there to support you, and so when you need it, you need guidance, definitely reach out. So yeah, thank you, and I'm going to pass it over to Nia for the information share.
Thank you. So I actually should have been had this up while you were talking. But I'm going to share a link to the Google Drive. Like I mentioned a few times throughout this call, this drive is going to have the information that we talked about today. So the slides, you will see a recruitment packet in there that has an overview of the program. It talks about how to apply, and it also includes a detailed timeline explaining each of the steps on our timeline, as well as like some materials to let you know about like upcoming events like the info sessions. And this folder will also hold the recording of this call. Once it's been downloaded, I will add it to that folder. But all of this, including the folder, will be sent in a follow-up email to the address that you all registered for this call for. So I have that contact information. You will receive a follow-up with all of what's in this folder and a recording of this call.
All right. And this is now the space that if you have any questions, this is your time. The three of us are here to answer anything that may have popped up while we were sharing, or if you had a different question. So the space is yours now.
I have one. So you said you wanted an unofficial transcript. Do you guys have like a GPA kind of like requirement, or is it more so you just want the unofficial transcript?
No, there is no GPA requirement. The unofficial transcript is just proof of enrollment or proof of anticipated graduation date. If you don't have like your degree yet, but you'll have it by June of 2025, that's just what we're looking at for the transcript. We are not checking your grades. That's your business.
Oh, Takia, you were off mute if you were talking.
Of course I am. I was just uplifting Simran Patel's comment in the chat where they ask, can you apply to more than one organization, or I guess have more than multiple placements or more than one placement applied to more than one? And does that require separate applications?
No. So in the application process, you can apply to, I think we ask you to pick at least 3 of the organization. So a part of the process is going to have you review the job descriptions when they're posted on our website. So make sure that you review all of the postings that are there before you apply. And some of them just transparency might be coming in on a rolling basis because we're still adding things to the website. So we will let you know when everything is officially all there. But yes, make sure you review all of the positions so you have an idea of what's available, what works. Certain positions have requirements that like might ask you to relocate. Some of them might be remote. It all depends. So you'll want to make sure that they align with what you're able to do, what you're interested in, and then be clear on your application, which positions, which organizations you're most interested in and why. So that does not require multiple applications. You can put that in one application that you submit.
Does anyone have any other questions? Is there something?
Hi. So my name is Christian and I'm studying environmental science. And I'm also interested in this right fellowship. But I'm also an international student, so I'm just wondering if international applicants are eligible to apply.
I missed part of that question. I'm so sorry. There was noise in my background. I
They
heard
are international, yeah, and wanted to know what their eligibility was.
Okay. So if you are an international student, at the time when you apply for the program, if you have eligibility to work, if you have like the appropriate visas, I believe I-9 or something like, don't quote me on the actual visa name, but if you have the appropriate eligibility to work in the United States, then you are eligible to apply for the program. And if you like require sponsorship or anything like that, that is at the discretion of the host organization. So they will determine whether or not they'll be able to sponsor visas or not. I don't think that is a reason to not apply though, if you are eligible to work in the United States. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Well, remember, you can always reach us at, what is it? Ray at elpnet.org. We can answer your questions. Oh, thank you. I didn't know you did that. Okay. So this is how you can contact us. Remember to check the website about mid-March. That's when position descriptions, and roles will be posted. And again, they'll be reoccurring, rolling basis, excuse me. But still get your application in, because when you pop online and you're like, oh, perfect, you don't have to do it, it's already submitted. So and we can also just keep you posted too. Oh, we have one more question. Is it generally one Ray fellow per organization, or can multiple? That all depends on the host and what their needs are. So
Yes.
sometimes it happens, sometimes it does not.
Yes, it depends, but each position, each job description is for one role. So you'll see maybe an organization might have 2 positions, but they will be individually listed.
Correct.
Like for example, right now we have a partner, NOAA Fisheries. They have like 3 positions. So there are like 3 fellows working at NOAA right now. Ocean Conservancy is another one that you'll see multiple positions, but it's one organization. So it just depends on the org and their needs, but they are posted individually, specifically per job description.
And
So they're all
some,
different position titles.
yeah, and some host organizations alternate. So they'll do one position for like 2023 and then another one in 2024. So there's overlap because it's a 2-year fellowship program. So it might be that you only see one position, but there is actually a fellow from cohort 9 placed at the organization. So there's a couple of different ways that it can look. But sometimes it's no, there's no one else. And sometimes, yes, there is. Making space for any more questions that folks might have before we wrap up the call. And it's okay if you think of a question after this call, you can always email us and we're happy to respond. It's on this contact list, but the follow-up email will also come from ray@elpnet.org. So you should have that in your inbox, and you should have received it when you registered for this call. So you should have it. But if you have any questions, feel free to email us, and I'll leave like a little bit of space if anybody has questions.
Yes, and follow us on socials if you're on there for updates and information.
Yes, I want to say I strongly recommend following us on either LinkedIn, Instagram. Those get pretty to the minute updates about like our status, if there are any last minute changes, if we are like extending deadlines or when new positions get posted, all of that stuff you'll be able to see on Instagram specifically, but also LinkedIn are the places that get updated the most. And then of course the website. But if you want it like in the minute, in the moment, in the now, definitely like follow our Instagram.
Nia's on the beat. Thank you, Nia. All right. Would you like to close us out, Nicole?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all. I think what we'll do for our closeout is just type in the chat just a color that represents like excitement to you. So we'll give folks about 2 minutes to type a color in the chat, and then I'll count us down, and then that's going to be our waterfall closeout for our time together. And when folks are ready with their words, go ahead and give a reaction, like give a thumbs up emoji, or if you're on camera, just show your thumbs up. It's just so that I know that folks have that. And if you can't type into a chat box, that's okay. You can come off mute and say it if that feels better. All right, so I think I've got the thumbs up from everyone. We're gonna count down on the count of 1. We'll hit enter. So I'm gonna start at 5. So we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. Wow, lots of yellow. I love it. A rainbow, some green. This is beautiful. Thank you all for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great one.
Take care, everyone.
Take
Thank
care, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
you. Take care.